There's this one single sentence spoken long ago that has this incredible power to reframe everything we see happening in our world today. It's a statement about who we are, our purpose, and really about survival in an age that feels like it's in decay.
And this wasn't some big, flashy statement shouted from a stage. It wasn't some complicated argument for theologians to debate. No, it was just a quiet, profound thought spoken to a small group of pretty ordinary people sitting on a hillside. And what's just so remarkable is how this one little sentence, spoken 2,000 years ago, somehow feels more and more relevant with every year that goes by. It's like it diagnoses the spiritual sickness of our time, and at the same time, it tells us the cure. You are the salt of the earth. That's it. So simple, so direct, and just packed with a meaning that I think most of us have almost completely forgotten. So let's dive into that. When we hear salt of the earth today, we probably think of, adding flavor to our food. But Jesus wasn't just being poetic here, not at all. He was speaking the language of pure survival. And to really get what he meant, we have to go back and understand what salt was to them in their world. And the contrast is, well, it's stark. For us, salt is just that shaker on the table, right? It's cheap, it's everywhere. But back then, in the ancient world, it was an absolute necessity. It was literally used as currency. It was preservation. In many ways, it was life itself. I want you to just picture this for a second. Imagine a marketplace in that sweltering Middle Eastern heat. There are no refrigerators, of course, no chemical preservatives. The only thing preventing the fresh meat and fish from spoiling, from just becoming rotten and poisonous, was salt. It was the one barrier standing between good food and total decay. So when Jesus looked at his followers and said those words, "You are the salt of the earth," that's what they heard. Not, "Hey, you guys add a little flavor to the world." No. What they heard was, You are the preserving agent. You are what stands between this entire world and its slide into complete spiritual rot. I mean, can you imagine? That is a stunning honor and, frankly, a terrifying responsibility. And this really gets at the kind of influence Jesus was talking about. Think about it. Salt doesn't shine. It doesn't announce itself. It actually disappears into whatever it's working on. Its effect is profound, but its presence is often hidden. It just quietly stops to decay. It draws out the real flavor. And yeah, sometimes it stings when it cleanses a wound. This isn't a call to be loud and dominant. It's a call to quiet, transformative faithfulness. Okay, so if that was the mission back then, you have to feel how much more urgent it is right now. Jesus described a world that was always in danger of decay. And today, it feels like we can see the evidence of that rot accelerating all around us. I mean, we're living in an age where the clear lines, they've all gone blurry. An age where just speaking a plain truth can get you accused of hatred. It's a time where simply holding to a moral conviction gets you called judgmental. It's almost like the very act of knowing which way is up has become the offense. And it's a world where the quiet pursuit of a life that's set apart, a life of holiness, isn't seen as strength anymore. It's often seen as weakness, in a culture that celebrates the self above all else. But here is the most important thing to get. This environment, this moral confusion and spiritual decay, this is not a sign that the mission has failed. This is precisely the moment that salt was made for. Think about it. It's when things are starting to spoil that you need a preservative the most. But Jesus didn't just stop there. He didn't just give the commission. He also gave a really stark warning. Because as critical as this mission is, the agent of the mission, the salt itself, can actually become useless. So what does that even mean for salt to lose its saltiness? Well, in the ancient world, the salt they mined wasn't pure. It was often mixed with other minerals, with dirt. And if it got too diluted, maybe by rain or other impurities, it would still look like salt, but it would have lost its power. It couldn't preserve anything anymore. It had become contaminated, compromised by the very thing it was supposed to change. And this loss of purpose, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens subtly, in stages. First, well, we just start to blend in, don't we? We start to look and act and sound just like the culture around us, until there's really no difference. Then, we start to soften the truth. We file down the sharp edges, because we don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, least of all ourselves. And then, the final step. We trade that hard, costly pursuit of holiness for the much easier, cheaper comfort of being popular. And really, this gets to the heart of the warning. The whole point of salt is to change the meat, not for the meat to change the salt. See, we're called to be in the world, but we're not meant to be of the world. We don't preserve the world by becoming the world. Now, I know this whole mission can feel completely overwhelming, right? Like we're fighting a losing battle against this unstoppable tide of decay. But that's where the final part of this whole idea comes in, and it gives us this incredible, unshakable hope.
You see, our work is salt, our mission to preserve things in this world. It's just for a season. We're working on something that is, by its very nature, temporary. It's meant to decay.
But that is not the end of the story. Not even close. Our ultimate hope isn't in our own ability to perfectly preserve this world. It's in the fact that Jesus is building a completely new one. He's preparing a kingdom that will never, ever decay. A reality where all that rot and corruption simply has no place.
And that changes everything about who we are. It means we're not just janitors trying to patch up a decaying old building. No, we are citizens of a future kingdom, just living here for a while as ambassadors in a broken world. Yes, we're salt in a dying age, but we're also light in a darkened world, always pointing the way to the permanent home that's coming.
And that really brings us full circle, back to the heart of the mission. The call to be salt is, at its core, a call to selfless service. Because salt doesn't exist for itself. It exists entirely to serve whatever it touches, to preserve it, and to bring out its very best. So, the question that Jesus just quietly places before each of us today is this: are we still salty, or have we become a little too comfortable in the decay? Have we been diluted by the world around us? Because the one thing the world doesn't need is more of its own noise. What it needs, what it's desperate for, is the quiet, transforming, preserving evidence that a different kind of kingdom is on its way.